What's up, Matt here. You just saw a quick look at what you can do with the new Traktor MX2 running with Traktor Pro 4. If you're just getting into DJing or you're trying to level up and play your first club set or live stream, this thing is built to grow with you instead of boxing you in. The MX2 gives you Pro Tools in a small all-in-one controller so you can build your confidence now and still have room to get creative when you want to push further. If you haven't seen Brian's video yet, go check it out. In this video, I'm going to go a bit deeper and show you how to use everything in the MX2. I'm going to break down some of the techniques you just saw and walk you through how the MX2 and Traktor Pro 4 make it all feel super smooth and fun to use. Before we get deep into this, I just want to do a general layout overview of the MX2. The MX2 is split half and half, so deck A, deck B, same with the mixer in the middle. With our effects, we have two effects sections, which also act as our pattern players, two browser sections, one for each deck. In the middle, we have our club style standard mixer with your EQs, some additional effects, and your faders, along with the crossfader at the bottom. I like to call this section the launch pad. You got your Hotcues, these are your stems, your pattern player, and your Flux Loops. You have play and cue right here, nice and big. Over here, we have our tempo sliders. This section is designed for loops, so you can set loops and skip between them. You can also change the size of the loops, turn them on and off easily. This is for key lock, so if you want to lock your songs and key, you can do that here. And while holding the key lock button, you can turn either of these knobs to turn the key up or down, and you can push it in to reset. You have your sync and master buttons right here, your jog wheels, and some additional functions for the jog wheels on both sides. Finding your next track is super easy on the MX2. You get dedicated controls for pre-listening, browsing favorites, building a prep list, and jumping into full screen browser view when you want to take a closer look. The browser encoder is your main selector. You can use this to browse through your track list, or hold shift and you can browse through the Explorer tree on the side. Holding the favorite button and using the encoder lets you browse through all of your favorites up top. You can hit the star button and that adds tracks to your preparation list. Let's hit favorite and jump over to preparation. Now you can see all of our tracks are added. The play button below it sends it to the preview player and allows you to listen to the track before you actually commit to putting it into a deck. It automatically plays, and if you use the encoder, you can skim through the track. By hitting it again, it removes it from the preview player. The view button allows you to expand the view, which is great if you're in a list with a lot of tracks. Hit it again, takes you back to your main layout. The MX2 jog wheels are high res and non-slip, so you get tight control that feels great when you're doing more advanced stuff. You got two main modes here, turntable mode and jog mode. For the scratching you saw earlier, I was in turntable mode. This makes it so if you touch the top of the platter, you can scratch. And if you use the side, you can actually nudge the tempo.
Yeah.
You usually only see this feature on higher end controllers, so it's really cool to have that here. In jog mode, the top of the platter and the side allows you to nudge the tempo so you can align phase. This is really convenient, especially for just having big platters if you need to match up those tracks if things get off beat. You've got a 2-channel mixer with a club standard layout, so everything feels familiar and you can focus on your transitions and blending instead of hunting for controls. Our mixer really gives you all the control that you could ask for. You got your 2 gain knobs up top with your master volume control and levels to see the tracks. Below that, we have our effects on and off, or our pattern players on and off for our left side and our right side, and on both decks. We have our standard EQ, highs, mids, and lows. We have a mix for your headphones and a volume for your headphones. We'll come back to the mixer effects in a second. Below this, we have our headphone cues on and off for each deck, our microphone on and off, volume faders, and our crossfader. You get dedicated mixer effects. There are 9 effects you can jump into, like filters, reverbs, delays, a gator, and a few others. It's an easy way to add some flavor to your mix without diving deeper into menus. Right in the middle, you have your mixer effects, and I love these because it gives you another layer of effects so you don't have to dive into the main effects if you're using these as pattern players or you just want something super quick. I actually use these a lot during that intro performance, and I use 2 main effects. These can all be changed to whatever you want. But right off the bat, you have that filter front and center, so you can always jump back to your filter if needed. To turn them on or off, you just push the buttons. And this controls the amount of the effect. Most of them in the center is off, and if you're going lower, it adds almost like a low pass filter, and if you go high, it adds a high pass filter along with the effect. So the two main effects you heard in the beginning performance, I have the reverb set here, and I set it to low. You can see if I go high. The other effect you heard is the white noise, which I have here, and I just increased it with the pattern player. So for an example, let's go ahead and go to the stems and turn the drums off. And I'll increase it. And it's a cool way to just add a build-up without having to have one in your track. As I mentioned, all these effects can be changed if you go to your settings and then go to the mixer. Under your mixer effects slots, you can click here and select tons of different effects. The MX2 has 16 high-performance pads with 4 modes on the hardware: stems, the pattern player, Hotcues, and loops. I'll show you the pattern player later when we get into the effects. This area is basically like your launch pad. You can fire drops, trigger breakdowns, or jump straight to a peak moment. Hotcues make it easy to move around a track. You can set them as simple markers or as looped cues. This is something you saw in the performance from the beginning, where I was just triggering different cues of the song, and I just had different Hotcues set. A looped cue locks in a loop the second you hit it, so you can catch a moment and play with it without losing the groove. And then I had the same track loaded on this side, and I used my looped Hotcues, so that way I can just click it and the loop begins. Really convenient for being able to jump around in a track. Stems open things up even more. Traktor Pro 4 separates your tracks into drums, bass, instruments, and vocals, so you can blend pieces from different songs and build something new on the fly. This is another thing you saw from the performance in the beginning. I have all my stems split up here, and let's go ahead and turn off the instruments, the vocals, and the drums, and this is how it started. Then I brought in the vocals. Now, one cool thing I did is below the stems, you have these buttons. And these buttons allow you to control the volume or a filter of that stem by using these two knobs. So what I did for the instruments is I held this button and I turned this knob. You can see it low pass filters. Let's turn that on. Let's turn these off for a second. High pass filter all the way, low pass here. Push it to set it in the center. And do the same with volume. Push it to bring it back. So what I did was I had this turned off. I had these two playing. Turned this on, it was already set to low. And then I held it and turned it up. And that's how I brought in the track. Flux loops are quick too. You can hold the energy, build tension, or create a moment before a drop. And with flux loops, the track keeps moving underneath whatever you're doing. So when you exit the loop, it jumps right back to where the song would have been. Smooth and clean without breaking the flow. Here's your flux loops right here. They're already preset to different values. This is 4. You can see when I let go, it jumps back to where we were. Now let's talk about the effects. You can push things pretty far with the MX2. You get deep control that lets you twist and shape your sound in real time. Traktor gives you over 40 effects to play with, so you can stack things, add reverb, mess with time stretching, create wild delays, and take your tracks into new territory without overthinking it. Your effects are up top here, and these effects can be single slots or multi-slots. To change the effect slots, you hold Shift and push this main button here. It's going to switch between your pattern player, which we're going to get to in the next section, 3 effects, or a single effect, which gives you more control of that individual effect, depending on what the effect is. The effect you heard in the beginning of the performance was this cool wormhole effect. I'll just go ahead and play it. This first knob controls the overall dry wetness of the effect. To turn the effect on, you push the button below it. And to turn the effect on per deck, whether it's effect slot 2 or 1 in this case, you just push it per deck. It's one of my favorite effects, the wormhole effect, a great way to do a transition. Turn it off, you can turn the effect off, or you can turn it off per deck. It's good to notice that if you turn it off on the deck slot here, it's gonna cut the effect off. If you turn the effect off here, it's gonna let that tail finish out, which is nice for mixing. For more granular control of the effect, you can turn on single slot mode. Let's go ahead and hit play. Here we have a reverb. While holding shift, this first button will change between the pattern player, a multi-effect slot, or a single effect. You can go to the next effect by pushing here, and previous by pushing here. If you're in multi-slot mode, the buttons below it just go to the next effect. You can also dive into Traktor's pattern player. This mode turns the pads into a step sequencer, so you can build grooves on the fly and layer them into your set. It's a simple way to add your own rhythm ideas without stopping the flow. Now we're checking out the pattern player. To get to the sequencer, we're going to push this button right here, and this is our sequence of the pattern player. Before we get into this, let's just focus right up here. Let's first talk about the shift functions. While holding shift, you can switch between multi-effect, singular, or back to your pattern player, as I showed you. While holding shift as well, you can switch between different kits. 909, tons of different kits you can choose from. I'm just gonna go back to the 808 kit here. So you can see your sequence here. Let's go ahead and hit play, and then I'm gonna turn the pattern player on deck B, so the sound source is coming through deck B. This controls the volume of the sound. These two buttons switch between previous and next of the sound. Little clave. Let's leave it on the snare. This controls the pattern, and you'll see the pattern change. This controls the pitch. Decay of the sound, super short. Really long. And then you have duck, so it actually lowers the track volume, so that way you don't get any weird distortion or clipping when the sample is playing on top of whatever track you're playing. Let's talk about the sequencer here. Let's go ahead and hit play. This is your step sequencer for the pattern player, so we can add in steps. To get to the second page, you push it and it turns white. You can see we're on the second page here. Really easy to just do a quick build up. Turn up that pitch. Turn it off. So this is what you saw earlier in the performance. What I did was I just started bringing in layers. Added another one. And then what I did was I turned up the patterns. Turned up the pitch at the same time. And that's how I did the build in the beginning. Now, one thing I really like about the pattern player is whatever you set your pattern to, if you go back to that pattern, it'll be identical to where you left off. So you can set a pattern, change your pattern up here to something else, and then go back to it, and it's gonna keep the pattern that you dialed in on the step sequencer here. One other little hidden feature, if you hold shift, you'll see this turns red. You can actually press that and it clears your pattern for you. The MX2 has a built-in audio interface, so you can pretty much hook up to anything. You get main outs of RCA and mini jack, headphone outs of mini jack and 1/4 inch, a 1/4 inch mic input, and USB-C. Easy to plug in whenever you're playing. In Traktor Pro, you can tweak a lot of how the MX2 controls behave, like the tempo faders, mixer effects buttons, and browse shortcuts. Let's head over to our settings and go to the Traktor MX2 main. Here you can control some of the global functions, such as your transport, mixer effects, or browser controls right here in this menu. MX2 is super visual, which makes it easy to navigate even in a dark room. The LEDs let you see what's happening at a glance, like when a track is about to run out or when you're locked into a loop. You can also customize the LED colors so the layout feels natural to you and matches how you like to work. Let's check it out over in Traktor settings. Under the Traktor MX2 colors tab, you can really customize it and make it your own. I mean, you can get granular here and go and change individual buttons if you want to. We can change sync buttons. You literally have so much control, and there's also global schemes that you can set. This really gives you the ability to make it your own. You also have bottom LED control, whether you want that end warning to turn on, the sync warning, or whether you're in an active loop. The Traktor MX2 is a solid place to start your DJ journey, and it's something you can keep growing with as you shape your own sound. It's built for play, personality, and real creativity, so you're not stuck feeling limited by starter gear. You get a setup that feels good now and still has room for you to level up over time. If you're ready to check out the MX2 and dive into everything Traktor Pro 4 can do, check it out over at nativeinstruments.com. By the way, tag us in your first mix because I'd love to hear what you come up with. Catch you in the next one.